Okay, there you go. What's going on?
What's up?
Hey. I'm Daniel. This is Mark, and this is our good friend Will McCormack.
Hey.
He's pretty much like a family member.
Yeah.
We wanted to talk to Will about a bunch of things, but first and foremost, Will's an actor, he's a writer, he's a director, he's a producer, he's a jack of all trades in entertainment. And this year you worked on a really important project. You're also a father. So can you talk a little bit about the project that you worked on?
This year, with a friend of mine named Michael Govier, we wrote and directed an animated short film called If Anything Happens, I Love You. Mm-hmm. And it's about parents grieving the death of a child from a school shooting.
Right. And you worked on the film with Everytown, correct?
Everytown is a friend of the film.
Okay.
They saw an animatic of the movie. An animatic is just like storyboards strung together, mm-hmm. like prior to animation. Mm-hmm. And they responded to it, mm-hmm. and they are a friend of the movie and are partners with us on the film. Mm-hmm. So we were flattered to have their endorsement. We love the work that they do. And, you know, the movie is really centered more around grief.
Right.
And is an elegy to parents, mm-hmm. and who have lost kids, mm-hmm. Which is unimaginable.
It's unimaginable.
So, as an artist, like I've been often interested in grief. I mm-hmm. keep sort of like writing about grief in my own life. I've been through a lot of loss, mm-hmm. and I think I keep going back to that to figure out how we grieve and why we grieve and what are the gifts of grief.
Oh wow! What do you think they are?
Well, you know, I think that having grief is sort of instant clarity. Mm-hmm. You know, it's inexorably really very, very sad, mm-hmm. but you can have an enormous amount of clarity and an enormous amount of gratitude. Mm-hmm. And I just sort of have admired the ability of people to walk through loss and sort of endure it and sometimes prevail and be able to be given these gifts had the grief not happened. Now, I think that the reason why we made this film, mm-hmm. and like why we wrote this film was, you know, gun violence in schools and gun violence in America is an epidemic.
Yeah, do you know any of the statistics offhand about that?
Well, I know New Orleans happened last night, and it was the 366th mass gun violence shooting this year in America. Right. And I think one of the reasons why we wrote this film is I was sort of grappling with feeling defenseless. I didn't know what to do. Mm-hmm. I didn't feel like I could contribute. I didn't feel like I had a voice in it. I didn't know what to do. I was angry, honestly. Right. I wanted to say something, and we wanted to say something. Now, the worst thing I think that can happen in your life is to lose a child. You know, there's a proverb that says, when your parents die, you bury them in the ground. When your kids die, you bury them in your heart. Yeah. And it really spoke to me. And I read an article in the New York Times Magazine about parents who banded together for a group that had lost kids to gun violence shooting. And it was really just a way for me and my partner, Michael, on the film to wrestle with this tragedy. And it's been a really rewarding film to make. And I really am excited to share it with the world. It will be coming to festivals beginning in 2020, and it's just been a really rewarding thing to make. It was great to grapple with it artistically because it was the thing that I felt like I couldn't wrap my head around, right. And it was great to mine it creatively because it would give gifts to me. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's curious what you say about grief because from sort of a physiological perspective, like anger is a constriction, things are very shut down, but grief is this real openness, you know, like one of the gifts that it provides is essentially like a present moment awareness, like this mm-hmm. is actually happening. Mm-hmm. And it sounds like your interest in that sort of emotional state is something that you pulled from and had a chance to orient it with this project, mm-hmm. right? Sort of reflective back to people. I mean, fundamentally at the outset, there's something deeply disturbing to me that we need to make this project. Mm-hmm. I'm really grateful that you did. I've mm-hmm. seen it. It's extraordinary. I look mm-hmm. forward to people seeing it. But the other part is it's so confounding to me that there are so many groups of parents that have to meet because they've lost children.
Yeah.
Like that's the normalization of that. We're all fathers. You know, the fact that my child is aware of school shootings, that it's become normalized, is a grotesque reality to me, an unacceptable reality to me.
Yeah, the normalization of the issue was, I think, the thing that just messed me up the most, that it had become common and commonplace to sort of read the news and look at the statistics and not look at it as human beings.
Right.
And I think we're all guilty of that,
right,
to some extent, right? Like
you get numb.
Yeah, you get numb.
Yeah.
And this movie was meant to tell one little kid's story and to know, it was sort of a waving a flag for me personally to the parents to tell you that we will not normalize this.
Okay.
And we will not make this an everyday occurrence. Like, we will not forget you. We are here and we are listening and we are doing everything we can. So it was really, really rewarding to work on.
Do you guys have, I remember very vividly Columbine. Do you remember that, when that happened in your life?
Yeah.
And I remember thinking like, oh my God, what an atrocity.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. This will never happen again.
Right.
Right. And then as things happen, I mean, you know, Parkland was a huge thing. Newton was a huge atrocity. Like, they keep just piling up in a way that, to your point about people coming sort of anesthetized, like they don't know what to do, as though it's an absolute certainty that if you live in a country, there's going to be school shootings. And Mark, we've talked a lot about this because part of your draw towards Australia is like, it just doesn't happen there. It doesn't happen anywhere else in the world, right?
Yeah, no, it's true. I mean, when we go back to Australia, I realize just how safe we feel and how, you know, I didn't really realize until living outside of the country just how much being here in America on a subconscious level, the fear or the check-in, you know, the exits, where to go, how that plays on me every day. It's pretty wild.
So you guys are both very much in the arts, acting, writing, making films. What's the experience like in that world of recognizing how much violence that maybe we see on screen, maybe we celebrate, maybe we fetishize? Do you think the temperature of that is changing? Do you think people are recognizing, hey, maybe it's not a great idea that we are so hyper extreme action film violence desensitization? Do you think there's any change in awareness towards that? Do you think it's affecting violence in the real world, quote unquote? Do you have thoughts about that?
Yeah, well, it's just affected, me personally. I'm so much more aware of it. I've also gone back and looked at all the films that I've been a part of, and I've wondered, I've questioned, okay, what is my participation in this, only just as an actor, but, you know, I chose to be a part of this film, and what has this done culturally? And so it's very much a part of the decisions that I make now and the things that I choose to create, you know, being really clear on my intentions, my point of view, and really mindful of the cultural impact this film that I'm making is having on some level. So for me, and I think, you know, there's a whole new level of awareness that I'm feeling. What do you think?
Yeah, what do you think, Will?
I'll say this. You know, what we're making now, why we're making it, matters more than ever. And that's a privilege and that's a responsibility. So, you know, I think that what we're putting out into the world, and, you know, being a father too, has made a huge impact on me of like the choices I've already making and thinking about my future as an artist and why I'm creating and who I'm creating with and what we're making. So I think that, you know, with climate change, with gun control, there's a responsibility now that we have as artists. And that doesn't mean that what we make has to be sanctimonious and holy, and we can still explore this thing, and things can be funny and things can be authentic and things can be real. But I do think that there is a time now where you have an opportunity to say something with our art and people will listen.
It feels like people are paying more
so.
attention to that.
Yeah.
It seems like that. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I noticed that as a consumer. It's like I grew up in the 80s. I've seen Die Hard like 50,000 times, probably, sadly. And it's like my ability to sort of check out in violence and action movies and not thinking about it as I've gotten older and watching my son get older. Like, there's some accountability that is just personally inescapable. Like where I'm putting my energy matters. Where I'm putting my dollar matters. Where I'm putting the sacredness of my life. It matters. And I think that the things that are happening in our world are a result of this collected energy that we're not, we're all parts of it, I guess. Well, I look forward to people seeing your film. We'll put links to every town. Please check out all the incredible work that Will's doing, just as a human being and brother. Yeah.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here with you guys. Thank you. Chopping it up and getting into it.
We'll probably stay on the couch for a couple more hours.
Yeah. I just want to say also, the title of our film is called If Anything Happens, I Love You.
Okay.
And that's taken from texts from real life, which a lot of kids send to their parents during shootings. And it was just sort of heartbreaking to me that in that moment of horrific violence that the kids were trying to take care of the parents. It was very moving to me. So I just want to say that was the title. And that was like, that's the future right there. Like the kids are trying to take care of us, you know. Hopefully they can.
Yeah, team effort. All right, so let us know what you think and check out the film and just keep with us.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.